On Saturday morning, February 21st, what started as steady rain over Hawaii quickly turned into something much more dangerous. Within hours, parts of Oahu and Kauai were dealing with fast-moving flash floods that caught many residents completely off guard. And this wasn't just heavy rain. This was the kind of rainfall that rewrites record books. At first, it seemed manageable. Streets were wet, storm drains were filling, but then rivers began rising fast. Water spilled over banks, neighborhood roads disappeared under murky brown water. Power outages began rolling in across affected areas. Emergency crews rushed to respond as evacuation alerts were sent out. What had started as a rainy Saturday morning was quickly turning into a dangerous situation. The most jaw-dropping data came from a rain gauge near Waiahole. In a single hour, rainfall rates peaked at an astonishing 8.43 inches per hour. Let that sink in. More than an inch of rain fell in just minutes. That kind of concentrated rainfall over such a small area is extremely rare and incredibly destructive. When rain falls that hard, the ground simply can't absorb it. It runs off instantly. And that's when flash floods happen. In some neighborhoods, docks were completely underwater. Cars sat half submerged. Residents scrambled to move belongings to higher ground. In one area, neighbors worked together to pull a kayak free before it drifted away in the rushing water. It was chaotic, but it was also a reminder of how communities come together in moments like this. The Mauna Lua River surged to a historic level, reaching 10.76 feet. That's higher than the previous record set roughly 15 years ago. Highways near the river were flooded, traffic came to a standstill, and in several areas, entire sections of roadway were temporarily underwater. On Oahu's north shore, the Honolulu River suddenly burst past its banks. Floodwaters carried debris for miles, sweeping it all the way into the ocean. Meanwhile, other rivers across the island rose rapidly, fueled by relentless rainfall. When water moves that fast, there's little time to react. By mid-afternoon, conditions finally began to stabilize. The National Weather Service lifted the flash flood warning once the immediate threat had passed. But the aftermath told the story. Waterlogged streets, mud-covered yards, damaged infrastructure, and residents beginning the long cleanup process. People on the island were looking at the water and saying, "This is insane." The waves were churning. The rain wasn't just falling, it was pounding. It felt relentless. And this wasn't random. Meteorologists later confirmed that the flooding was triggered by an upper-level atmospheric trough parked right over Hawaii. In simple terms, a pocket of unstable air got stuck over the islands, pulling in deep tropical moisture and creating intense thunderstorms that kept dumping rain over the same areas. When storms stall like that, it's trouble, because instead of moving along, they just keep unloading water in one concentrated spot, and that's exactly what happened. Even local landmarks weren't spared. At one point, water started creeping into areas around Anchor Church. It was one of many signs that this storm was hitting hard and hitting everywhere. Transportation infrastructure took a serious hit. One of the ramps connecting the H3 freeway towards Kanea and the Like Highway had to be shut down. Reports said the ramp was sitting under several feet of water. Imagine turning a corner on a freeway and suddenly seeing a flooded roadway in front of you. That's the kind of hazard drivers were facing. Thankfully, once water levels dropped, the Highway Department of Transportation was able to reopen that exit, but not before major disruptions.
Over on Kauai, police shut down Kuhio Highway near the Hanalei River Bridge. The river had risen to dangerous levels near the bridge, making it unsafe for traffic. When water approaches bridge decks like that, officials don't take chances. Road closures may be frustrating, but they save lives. Even after the heaviest rain passed, the danger wasn't over. Some roads in windward Oahu stayed closed well into the afternoon. Standing water lingered. Visibility was low, and drivers were dealing with sudden pools of water that appeared without warning. Hydroplaning at highway speeds? That's a nightmare scenario. By early afternoon, the situation escalated further. At around 1:48 p.m., officials issued an evacuation order for residents at Oahu Base Yard Camp in the Waialua area. Emergency shelters were quickly opened at Waialua High and Intermediate School to house displaced residents. When evacuation orders are issued during flash floods, time matters. Water can rise in minutes, and hesitation can be dangerous. Honolulu Mayor Rick Blongiardi addressed the public shortly after. He made it clear, protecting lives was the top priority. He urged residents in affected areas to evacuate immediately and follow emergency guidance. In moments like this, leadership matters. Clear communication matters, and quick action saves lives. By late afternoon, the rain finally began easing, but the impact of the storm was far from over. Cleanup, damage assessments, and recovery efforts were just beginning, and for many residents, this was a storm they won't forget anytime soon. By 4:30 p.m., officials lifted the evacuation order. Residents were told it was safe to return home. Authorities explained that the evacuation had been issued purely as a precaution, a move designed to stay ahead of rapidly rising water, and in flash flood situations, caution can make all the difference. But while some areas began stabilizing, Kaneohe remained on edge for hours. The creek behind the local police station kept rising. Water spilled into nearby homes and businesses, turning parking lots into shallow lakes. For many families, it was a long afternoon of watching water creep closer to their doorsteps. Around 10 that morning, Hawaiian Electric reported that roughly 2,200 customers in the Kaneohe area were without power. For a brief time, entire blocks went dark. Thankfully, crews responded quickly. By 10:20 a.m., electricity had been restored to everyone affected. It was a small but important win during a chaotic day. Even though the flash flood warning for Oahu expired later that afternoon, the atmosphere was still unstable. Officials extended flood warnings for Kauai and Nihihu through 6 a.m. Sunday. Why? Because a slow-moving upper-level low-pressure system was still lingering over the region. When systems like that stall, they keep the air unstable, which means more rain can develop at any time, even overnight. And forecasters weren't done issuing warnings. They noted that another wave of energy pushing in from the north on Monday could bring a renewed chance of moderate to heavy rainfall. The low-pressure system was expected to gradually shift northeast by Tuesday, but until then, conditions remained unpredictable. Officials made one message crystal clear: do not drive through flooded roads. Do not walk through fast-moving water. It only takes a small amount of rushing water to sweep a person off their feet, and even less to carry away a vehicle. They also warned residents to stay away from riverbeds, drainage canals, and low-lying structures. And in areas with steep hillsides, the risk of rock slides and mudslides remained a serious concern. Authorities also asked the public to avoid unnecessary travel into impacted areas. Emergency crews needed clear roads. One official even delivered a blunt message: "Don't come surfing today. We don't want visitors." It wasn't about shutting people out. It was about keeping rescue teams focused on real emergencies, not traffic jams or stranded sightseers. If you liked the analysis in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please share this video with your friends, family members, and relatives. And finally, if you found this report helpful, please hit the like button. This helps us beat the algorithm and ensures this truth reaches more people who need to hear it. Thank you for watching.